got this backlash that I just threw in this reel, and I'm gonna show you all today what you need to do if you want to fish a soft plastic jerkbait. I catch a lot of fish on a soft plastic jerkbait, especially during the post spawn, even in the fall time of the year too, but especially during the post spawn when fish are primarily feeding on some type of shad forage. It's really hard to duplicate the lifelike behavior that you can get out of a soft plastic jerkbait. And I'm just going to talk about, do like I do in all these tackle tip videos. I'm just going to show you what I use: the rods, the reels, the line, the hooks, and the baits that I like to use for these techniques. So soft plastic jerkbaits, I got 3 colors that I like to throw. And this is predominantly like a clear water way to attack. That's basically all you need is clear water. So anytime I got visibility, I say 2.5 foot, 3 foot or more, and it's post spawn, you can almost always catch fish on a soft plastic jerkbait. It doesn't mean you're locked into those times of the year, but I promise you most time you can catch them on it. My favorite is going to be this one right here, Z-Man's Jerk Shads. I got 3 colors. Pearl, I use a chartreuse, just a solid chartreuse, and a smoky shad. That's what I use, bar none. Don't ask me no questions about no other colors, nothing. Those are the 3 colors I use, period. So those all mimic shad. I throw the bright chartreuse one just because like sometimes I like to be crazy. I think sometimes the fish feel the same way. I don't know why they bite the bright chartreuse color, but sometimes they do. But the one I fish the most is just going to be the solid white one, solid pearl. 9 times out of 10, this is what I'm going to put on. It's a real simple setup. This is getting back to the basics, like how I used to fish. When I first started fishing, like on my own, I'll call it probably 80% of the fish on this guy. It's a bait that really dominated in the Carolinas in the early 90s, all the way up until now. This is something that's been working since the Sluggo days. Some of you people know what Sluggo is, some of you don't. This is I rig it pretty much one way. With the Elastic, it floats, right? So you're gonna need some weight to get this guy down. I'm gonna show you how I like to fish it here in a minute. We're just gonna talk tech here for a little bit. But what I like to do, I'm just gonna Texas rig it with a keel weighted hook, 1/8 ounce, 3/16 ounce, whatever size you need to get it out, to get it down to whatever you need to get it down. If you throw it out there and it's digging down in the grass, or if it's digging down on the bottom, or if it's fish are schooling, that's what's going to determine what size weight you use. So if I see fish schooling on the surface, I'm going to use a lighter weight, 1/16, 1/8 ounce. If I'm trying to get it down, the fish seem a little bit more lethargic, and somebody trying to get in contact with somebody, the fish seem a little bit more lazy, I'm going to use a little heavier, 1/8, 3/16 ounce. So what I like about the Elastic, I'm just going to take it just like you would rig anything else. I just Texas rig. Go about 1/8 inch to the plastic, pull it up, twist it, hook around. This hook right here locks into the Elastic really good. If you don't have this one right here that's got the little lip for the plastic, what you can do is super glue as your friend. I like to have the hook on the flat side of the bait up here. The point of the hook up here on the flat side is what I like to do. That's what it's gonna look like. That's all this is. I don't have anything fancy. Actually, I do got 2 more fancy ways that I'm gonna show you that you might like. Okay, you might like it. 2 more fancy ways. They ain't too fancy, but they're a little bit fancy. So I throw it this way, keel weighted hook. Now, when I was 12, 13, 14 years old, we didn't have keel weighted hooks back then. So this is how we added weight to our soft plastic jerkbaits. What you would do is you take a number 5 offset hook, just like that. All right, and you basically made a little mini Carolina rig. Where you say, well, why wouldn't you just put like a Texas rig or put like an 1/8 ounce, 16th ounce sinker on the front of it? To me, it's not quite as natural in the water that way. I'd rig it the same way. Basically, I put hook point in the top, bring it back through the bottom, out like that, swing it around, click, boom, pow, hook point's coming out the back of his head right there, right on the flat part of his head right there. And I usually bury it. I don't have any problems. It's soft plastic, it's gonna punch through. So I'll bury it. Make sure it's rigged on there straight. If it's not rigged straight, it'll just twist your line. It'll just go back and when you're reeling it back. It's just going to twist your line up really bad. So I'll do that. Let me put my phone on pause while somebody's texting me about soft plastic jerkbaits right now. Somebody says, what color do you use? Answer them, y'all. What color do I use? White, chartreuse, and smoky shad. That's what I use. So we would take it rig it the same way I just showed you on the other one, right? Then we would take a really big barrel swivel like this and give you about, 12 inches a leader, and that would be your weight to help it get down a little bit. So that's a different way that you can rig this, and I'll show you to do it, what I'll do. Sometimes I throw this on fluorocarbon, sometimes I throw it on braid. And the braid just lets me cast farther. But I actually prefer to throw this on the straight fluorocarbon because you have just much better line management. The fluorocarbon sinks, and the wind, it doesn't blow around quite as bad. So what you do, you just cut your 12 inches to 18 inches piece of fluorocarbon out. I'm going to be using about 12 or 15. I don't like to go much bigger than 12 or 15 because this is a light bait, and if you use like 17, 20 pound test, you're not going to be able to throw it. It's not going to go that far. 12 or 15 pound test line. I'll just make a Palomar knot on my swivel. All right. Tie my swivel where my colors go. Then I'll take my leader material that I just cut, 12 inches, 18 inches, cut 18 inches. You can always cut it down. Then we'll tie a Palomar knot to my other side of my swivel. You can use whatever knot you want, whatever knot makes you happy you can use. This is what I use, so this is not gonna be a knot tying video, okay? That's not what this one's for. I'm gonna tie him up, give him a cell. I probably got a little more than 12. But this is the way we used to throw it, with the swivel on the front of it, 12, 18 inches. That'll give you a little weight. And it still lets the bait be real natural. Like when you throw it out there and twitch a soft plastic jerkbait, it's way more natural than a hard plastic jerkbait. Doesn't get down quite as far a lot of times, but this is a fish catching bait during the post spawn. Like they cannot stand it. They might not take it all the time, but they're gonna bump it at least. They're gonna at least swirl on it. Only downside of this is you see I've already tied 3 knots. I don't really like tying 3 knots. But this is the way we definitely used to throw it back in the day. If you don't use if you're not using a kill weighted hook. I'm telling you, this is a bait, they bite it. You're in post spawn, clear water, especially if you got spotted bass or smallmouth, they coming to get this guy. I'm telling you, like, you can take my word for it. But this is what it's gonna look like after you get everything rigged up. You got a barrel swivel. The bigger, probably the better if you're gonna go with this rig. The fish don't ask me questions about fish seeing it and all that. They're not gonna look at the barrel and not bite the bait with that big old 5/0 hook sitting there. They see that if they can get past the hook, they can get past the black barrel in front of it. 12 inches of leader material, 12, 15 pound test, 5/0 offset hook, 5-inch Z-Man jerk shads, pearl shad. Tie them onto your fishing line. I do throw it now. I will say this. This is where it does get a little technical. I will throw it on braided line, like 30 pound test braided line on a bait caster. Sometimes I'll just throw it straight up braid, or I'll throw it on fluorocarbon, because sometimes fluorocarbon, it just handles better in the wind because it's a heavier material, so the wind doesn't move it around as much. You just got better line management, is what I like to call it. And I will throw it on a spinning rod, of course. So the spinning rod is going to be 15 pound test braid to a 10 pound test, 12 pound test leader. That's going to be my setup, right? Probably 12. You can throw 15 if you want to on a spinning rod. The reason you're using 12 or 15 pound tests on your bait caster is because it has nothing to do with the action of the bait. It has nothing to do with getting more bites, because that has nothing to do with it. The fish are not that smart. They can't tell the difference between 12, 10, and 20. You're throwing on 12 or 15 because this rig is not the heaviest, and it's going to catch a lot of wind, and you cannot throw it with big diameter line. You need the small diameter line to get distance. And distance is everything with this thing, because for one, you're going to be trying to reach out and touch schoolers, and you want to be able to get the bait as far away from the boat as possible. Because during the post-spawn of the year, especially where I live, and a lot of blueback herring lakes and or smallmouth lakes and or spotted bass lakes, the fish are going to be high in the water column, so they can see you, feel you, hear you. Get the bait away from the boat as far as possible. So that's the technical side. As far as the rod goes, if I'm throwing the bait caster, high speed gear ratio bait caster, this is a Lew's a Hyper Mag 8:3-to-1 gear ratio reel. When I set the hook, I want to keep him coming. All right, so high gear ratio reel. I don't want a slow one for this. You can use whatever Lew's bait caster you want, whatever bait caster you want. It doesn't matter, but I like a high speed gear ratio better, and something that you can cast light baits with very well. 7.3 heavy action is what this rod is. This is the Pro Series, favorite Pro Series. I've thrown it on the Hex before, but a little bit longer than 7.3. I like the 7.3 because it's a happy medium of being able to get a long rod to get the bait way out there and still short enough to where it's not working you to death. You probably wouldn't want like 7.6, 7.11. It's just gonna work you to death. You don't want one that's real short, because now you can't get it out that far. And on a long cast, if you do get it out that far, you don't have enough rod to pick up all the line, get a good hook set in him, and bring the good buddy to the boat. So that's the technical side to it. Two ways I fish it. Barrel swivel, 5/0 to a 5/0 offset. If you're gonna use the offset, you didn't see me do it, but put your little dot of super glue on the head so the bait won't slip up and down the thing. You didn't see me, but I trust you. Can I trust you to put super glue on the head? I don't have to show you that, right? A dot of super glue. You was in kindergarten. If you're in kindergarten and your teacher didn't teach you how to put glue on, then don't even worry about catching the bass. You got to reverse. You got to get your life together. So I'll do that, and then I'll also throw it on a spinning rod. Now I don't have one. Don't bash me. I got a wacky rig, but it's the same rod. My rod, the favorite 6-stick, 7-1, 3000 series spinning reel, 20-pound test braid to whatever size fluorocarbon leader you want. 8, 10, 12, 20, 21, 16, whatever you want to use size fluorocarbon leader. Alberto knot for connection knot. That's the other rig that I use. Just sometimes it's just not even reasonable to throw it on a bait caster at times. So I'll throw it on a spinning rod. But if I can throw it on a bait caster, I will. Let's jump up on the deck. I'm gonna show you exactly how I like to fish it. Like I said, the reason you're gonna use the soft plastic jerkbait, really lifelike. The bait just really, it looks like a dying shad, like it's doing the Stevie Wonder in the water. You twist the rod and it does like this. Twist the rod, I mean, it's just like Stevie Wonder. It looks really lifelike. I mean, Stevie Wonder looks lifelike. But all I'm looking for to fish this around early spring or late spring, late spring, early summer, long tapering flat points where fish are going to be coming as soon as they come off the bed, or I'll throw it around dark spots. Dark spots a lot of times are dead leaves on the bottom, decaying matter on rocks, stumps. But primarily it's going to be like on post-spawn conjunction places, points, high spots, brush piles. You can throw it over the top of really deep brush piles. Really simple to fish. What I'm going to do is, you see I got a little flat point right here in front of me. All I'm going to do is throw it out here as far as I can get it away from the boat. And the best thing to do as soon as it hits the water is nothing. Just let it sink for just a second. And you're just going to give it little short pops with a rod tip, just like that. And it's down there, it's splish splashing, taking a bath, doing the Stevie Wonder. It's literally doing like that. But those pauses, that the bait is real natural and realistic on those pauses, that's when you're going to get a bite. So the reason you're going to be fishing places like this is this is where they come. After they spawn, they're coming to the points. I guarantee you they're coming to places like this. I'll usually start out here pretty deep, pretty far off, work my way up there all the way until I can see the bottom. And the whole way, it's like any other bait, like a hard plastic jerk bait or even a crankbait or any bait that you would normally fish. You got to find the cadence for that day. So sometimes, it's going to be a lot of pops like this. I can work it pretty fast, almost to where it's coming out of the water. The faster you work it, the higher it's going to stay. It's just real quick pops like that. Just pop, 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 pop. I can do that. Or there's days, especially like when it's cold, I'll throw it out there and it's just going to be like a doot, doot, let it sink. Doot, doot, let it sink. So it's going to look a little bit more like this. One, two, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you'll feel them. It's almost like getting a soft plastic bite. It's gonna feel pretty. You'll feel him. He's gonna hit. If you feel anything at all, it's probably a bass with a soft plastic jerk bait. There's times where you probably kind of have to let the fish hit it. You're like take the bait. Might have to let him hold it a little second because they're bad. A lot of times in the post spawn, there's a lot of fish around. There's schools of fish. It's not just one you're fishing for. So they're bumping it, trying to kill it, bumping it, bumping it, bumping it. And the best thing you can do when they're bumping it and not getting it is to keep working the bait. Don't stop it. Just keep working the bait. Eventually he'll tighten down on it, and that's when you want to give him the gas. So very simple bait to work. It's fast or slow. You can't work it the wrong way. This is a bait that I always, when I was guiding, if I had somebody that wasn't quite too comfortable with catching bass or never fished with bass before, it's a bait that I would always give them because there's really no wrong way to work it unless you're not getting bit. If you're not getting bit, you're working it the wrong way. Or you need to use something else. But there's not much you can do you're not gonna get hung up with it a lot. There's not really a lot of stuff you're gonna do wrong with it. So I think I felt one bump it just then. But it catches a lot of fish. Soft plastic jerk bait, easy to work. It works this time of year. If you want to find these baits, exactly what I like to use, what you would find in my tackle locker right here in this Falcon boat, you can go to shopblat.com. I got exactly these colors in a little soft plastic jerk bait kit that you guys can get. So go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description box, shopblat.com. Soft plastic jerk baits catch a lot of fish. They catch me fish. They catch you some too.